Aside from the fact that it's finally happening next Thursday after 2 years and 4 months of Yang Hengjun being in detention, we're still largely in the dark about the details of what he's actually accused of doing. I spoke to his wife today, Yuan Rui Juan. She's based up in Beijing. She told me that Yang Hengjun's lawyer is forbidden from giving her any details of the case. So she's in the dark about what her husband is alleged to have done. His lawyer, only confirmed to me that the trial would take place. Previously, it's been reported that he's been warned not to speak to the foreign media. So we probably won't know any details until next Thursday. And you have to remember that this trial will take place behind closed doors. It will not be open and transparent. Because it involves national security, we may not even get much in the way of any readout or details from the trial. And China's criminal conviction rate is well above 99%. So for that reason, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he will be convicted. The question is, because we don't know what it is that Yang Hengjun supposedly has done, it's very difficult to know what sort of potential sentence he faces. The minimum would be 3 years, the maximum life. Obviously, his family and supporters would be hoping that a minimum sentence would be applied, and if it included the time served, then they may be able to see him a little bit sooner rather than later.
So, Bill, let's recap here. Who exactly is Yang Hengjun?
Well, Manny, he's a man with a pretty interesting past. Once upon a time, he actually worked for China's Ministry of State Security. That's the spy agency. For 14 years, the ABC previously reported that he worked, not specifically, we're not sure what he did. Some reports suggest that he used to be an analyst for them. But the point is, he was working for the Chinese government up until about 2000 or so. Now, his friends and supporters say after that, he defiantly turned his back on the Chinese system. He moved over to Australia, where he obtained citizenship. He did a PhD at UTS in Sydney. And more recently, he was actually a visiting scholar over in the United States at Columbia University. Now, the thing is, he actually travelled back to China quite a few times over those years. So even though he had a reputation for being a political writer and for being a democracy advocate through his writing online, he wasn't really a dissident. He was somebody able to travel back to China quite a few times over the years. But of course, in early 2019, he came back for the Lunar New Year to spend it with relatives, and that's when state security agents pounced on him.
And Bill, there's another Australian who is facing similar charges in Beijing.
Yes, you have to remember, Manny, that Yang Hengjun is one of only two Australians in Beijing. He's not the only one. Cheng Lei, a former journalist and anchor for Chinese state television, she too is in a similar predicament. She has been imprisoned in Beijing for the past 9 months. She is accused of leaking state secrets. So it's similar, but a little bit different. She, so far, has not been allowed to even see a lawyer or to make a phone call to her 2 children in Melbourne. So I suppose her family and supporters will be watching quite closely what happens next week with Yang Hengjun's case. It appears they're 2 very different cases, but it's the same part of Chinese national security law that they're facing. So for that reason, there'll be a lot of attention to Mr. Yang's case next week.
Bill Birtles reporting there from Sydney. Thank you.
Thank you.